Well, folks, it is that time of year. The weather is getting cold and the snakes are all going underground until springtime. And since I'm not going to be able to do much field herping over the winter, I figured we would do something like a year in review, go over some of the best finds and the best moments of 2023. And 2023, this is a big milestone, I suppose, because this is the year that I started this YouTube channel. I found my first snake on camera on January 1st, and we have been going ever since. A good place to start would be with the first timber rattlesnake of the year. I observed about a dozen of this species in the year 2023, and while this particular one was not the biggest or the best or the most brightly colored, because it was the first one, I feel that it deserves a spot in this video. Perhaps my personal favorite find of the year was this eastern coachwhip observed on a trip to South Georgia. I flipped this guy under 10, and as you can see, he is at least 7 feet long, but perhaps longer. Early on in the season, I happened to stumble across this northern black racer that was trapped in some artificial construction netting. After about 15 to 20 minutes of cutting away, I finally got him out, and for my troubles, he bit me on the hand. On the day in late February, while walking around a swamp, I happened to rack up over 30 snakes, cottonmouths, ribbon snakes, and a couple more species. And besides these, I also got a few alligators. To date, this is the most snakes I have ever found in a day. As a brief honorable mention, this black rat snake complex was the first snake that I ever road cruised. I found him on a gravel road in mid-Georgia. Here we have my lifer corn snake. This was a brightly colored juvenile who I found on a paved road in South Carolina. Finding this guy took many long hours and many late nights, but it was definitely worth it. These guys are a fun, iconic species, and this little guy definitely made my month. Next on the list is this smooth green snake. I flipped this guy under a rock while touring the state of Maine in midsummer. This was my lifer because I've never been to the Northeast, so this was a good one to check off the bucket list. Here we have my lifer scarlet snake. Now this guy is definitely in the running for my favorite snake of 2023. I found him very late at night while road cruising in rural South Carolina. One of my friends was gracious enough to let me photograph him in his yard at about 11 or 12 at night, so I am forever thankful for that one. In Florida, for example, these guys are dirt common, but up in Georgia and South Carolina, they really are a treat to find. In early September, me and a friend of mine went on a 200-mile long kayaking trip, and on a barrier island about 6 miles shy of the Atlantic Ocean, I flipped a rock, and what should I find but a glass lizard. Now, I'm still not 100% sure on the identification, but I'm willing to bet it's an island glass lizard. For whatever reason, I seem to have a very hard time finding eastern kingsnakes, so after going almost a year without seeing one, I finally turn up this juvenile. Now, even though it was in shed, and yes, was just a baby, it was still one of my favorite finds of the year. Now, technically, I wasn't even the one to find this snake. I was out herping with a friend, and it was actually he who raised the call of alarm that he had found a kingsnake. So, I really haven't found a kingsnake by myself in over a year. I'm just lucky I have friends who have a better herping intuition than I do. So I actually had already begun the editing process on this video when I found this guy. It was Thanksgiving week in South Georgia when I flipped this little dude under 10. And if you haven't already guessed what it is, this is a scarlet kingsnake. That would be Lampropeltis ellipsoides, so different from the scarlet snake that we found earlier in the video. Two different genuses, actually. Lampropeltis, which is this guy, and Semophora, which is that scarlet snake that I showed earlier. So this is probably in my top 3, maybe top 4, maybe top 5 finds of the year. So this will conclude my favorite finds of the year 2023. It has been a heck of a year. I've found so many snakes, I've spent hundreds of hours herping, and I really have enjoyed making these videos. So, I will see you guys next year in 2024.